First begin with Dr. Anand Ranganathan. Dr. Ranganathan, a large number of people have commentated on the so-called malign role of the police. Now, how do you view these individuals? Are they complicit in creating a firewall around certain suspects just because they champion a narrative that is suitable to some of these political parties? And because by actually building them up as dissenters who have been wronged, are they trying to build a narrative that in India today, we have no democracy, only a dictatorship? Is that really the end here?
Good evening, Rahul. No, of course, you're absolutely right. But first of all, congratulations to you, your team, and especially to Nikunj, for stating the facts all along, for which I remember you and him and the whole team copped so much of abuse. For what? You were stating facts, not opinion. And today, in a small measure, of course, we have to wait for the court to complete the proceedings. But I would say you stand vindicated. I mean, these are serious charges concerning not a purported hate speech, but rather incitement and planning a full-fledged riot. And, Umar Khalid is a symptom of a disease that inflicts this nation, I'm afraid. A stinging indictment of our education system, where those who should be studying and making something of their lives indulge in hate politics because it rewards them more than education does. It wasn't the speech, I repeat, of Kapil Mishra or Waris Pathan or Harsh Bandar or Umar Khalid that was responsible for the Delhi riots that killed both Hindus and Muslims, but rather the actions of people like Tahir Hussain. The charges against Khalid for conspiring with Hussain based on call records, meetings, Hussein's own confession. Khalid is a journey that began with his eulogizing the terrorist Burhan Wani, if you remember, making out the terrorist killing as an extrajudicial murder. From there, Rahul, to Shaheen Bagh and then to Delhi riots is a lesson for all youngsters. Hate pays, but only for the shepherds. The lambs proceed to the slaughterhouse, and all along the way, they bleat. Hatred for Modi has transmogrified for these Sharia Bolsheviks into hatred for a plural, non-appeasing India. They speak for Rohingyas, for Palestinians, but are totally silent on a million Muslims stuffed in concentration camps by China. Ye hai inke morals, inka activism. Remember Shaheen Bagh? Disgruntled, hate-filled bigots blocking streets illegally, inconveniencing lakhs of commuters for no rhyme or reason, no logical argument, no rationale, except to display a show of strength. Tera mera rishta kya, la ilaha illallah, Hinduon se azadi, kafiron se azadi, hum leke rahenge jinnah wali azadi, Hindutva ki kabar khudegi, Shahada replacing the Ashok Chakra, children wanting to kill Modi and Shah. Khalid was an active participant and abettor in all this. Now, unlike these pretend guardians of free speech, I am all for free speech, even if it is hate speech. But the charges here go beyond hate speech, Rahul. Or are you telling me that while you supported UAPA charges against Kodnani, even though she was later acquitted by the courts, in Khalid's case, you don't have faith in our justice system? Yes. Yeah. No, Rahul, very quickly, let me expose the shameless hypocrisy of the Congress and the left and these guys outraging over this arrest. In 2011, police under Congress arrested 60 tribals and Dalits, including the Dalit activist and writer Sudhir Dhavle, under the UAPA and sedition charges. He spent 40 months in jail before being acquitted. Mr. Kapil Sibbal was the then Law and Justice Minister. Activist Vernon Gonzalez was arrested and convicted under UAPA when Congress was in power. But when he was arrested again under the BJP, Congress cried vendetta and emergency. UAPA is a controversial law because under it a confession to a police officer is admissible as evidence. Congress accepted it when it was in power, but opposed it when it went out of power. But look at the hypocrisy. It still agrees with the same clause in Makoka. And as for the left activists, what can I say? 151 cases have been filed under UAPA in Kerala in just the last year. All these activists supported the UAPA charges on Maya Kodnani. But when Justice Devani overturned her trial conviction and acquitted her, he was called a BJP stooge and a villain. Same judge had in 2016 overturned the trial court acquittal of 3 Hindus in the Vimagram riots case and convicted them. Then he was hailed a hero. The fact is, there are only 2 kinds of people in a democracy. One who respect the judiciary, and the other, like these guys, who think they are the judiciary.
I want to ask tonight, Has this incident or these series of attacks, Dr. Anand Ranganathan, exposed the hypocrisy of this great institution called the Latvian secular lobby?
Rahul, absolutely, and thank you very much for taking this case up and for the primer, which was absolutely factual. As you correctly put it, it was in 2014 that for the first time we got an inkling as to what a fake narrative, when peddled by these guys, the damage it can cause to the psyche, not just of India as a whole, but of plural, conscientious, morally upright Indian citizens who have never discriminated against any other fellow Indian citizen, but they are being made to feel the brunt of this false narrative. Now, I would like the cameraman to please zoom into. This was the Times of India headline and the whole page. I don't know if you can see it here.
We can.
The banner headline said, "Enough, enough, say weary Christians." And there were articles by the exalted and no doubt hero, Mr. Giulio Ribeiro, who said, "I don't want to live in this country," and people like him who said, "What is happening to this country?" And all what had happened was half a dozen robberies and burglaries of churches. And then there were these journalists, people who become journalists today, who started attributing motives of rape charges against a nun to RSS affiliated organizations. If you remember, maybe a couple of months before the Delhi elections, the AAP politicians, and Ashutosh was in AAP then, he can confirm, they quoted arrest, they filled themselves in buses saying, "This is happening in my capital Delhi, what is happening to our minorities?" Not a single one of them has apologized, including Ashutosh, who was in AAP then. At least today, here on this podium, on this, let this be an opportunity for my good friend Ashutosh to come clean and say, "I was sorry, those were all burglaries, and I also peddled the false narrative like all the other people did. If only I had looked at the data, it would have been crystal clear to me."
अरे सुधरो रे, अभी तो सुधर जाओ.
One second. Here is an attempt being made to target temples. Now, who is doing it? Why are these temples not being protected? Why are the priests in these temples being subjected to intimidation? In any other state, had this been reverse, in Yogi's Uttar Pradesh, what do you think would have happened, Dr. Ranganathan? Had these been in masjids that were being broken down, and the ulema, as well as the priests there, the clerics, they had been attacked, how would the reaction have been? Please tell me.
No, absolutely, and not only in India, the foreign newspapers would have run out of newsprint. It would have been, the democracy is dead. Democracy was dead. Now they have stomped it 6 feet under. But this has been the problem, Rahul. In the last 6 years, we've seen this time and again. The selectivity. Whenever there are Hindu hate crime mob attacks on Muslims, they are amplified. But whenever there are Muslim hate crime mob attacks on Hindus, Dalits and non-Dalits, everyone as if
you see, Kevin Matthew, how dangerous this is.
Library thickness.
How dangerous this is.
More than 100.
खत्म. बाय बाय, टाटा, गुड बाय.
तो हेलो दोस्तों, अगर आपने वीडियो को यहाँ तक देखा है तो वीडियो जरूर आपको थोड़ी बहुत अच्छी लगेगी, इसलिए वीडियो को लाइक कर दीजिए, शेयर कर दीजिए और ऐसी वीडियो को आगे देखने के लिए चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर दीजिए. थैंक यू.